Many view the night as a cloak that dampens the senses. Others see it as revealing hidden aspects.
I suppose it depends whether you bloom during the cycle of night or day.
How do you know where to begin your life?
You don't have to worry about it. It's already begun.
This pouch is our gift to you. Guard it carefully. It protects you and keeps you connected to nature.
What's in it? It holds bits of the pod from which you were born. There's also sweetgrass and sage.
I don't understand why you're so angry.
Do you think the Firstborn would welcome your breaking the tenets of the Ventari tablet?
No, I suppose not. But it's my choice and my responsibility. Why are you angry?
Your choices affect me because I love you. When you hurt, I hurt.
Cadian stood high on a limb in the centre of the grove, listening to the stillness of night. Crickets chirruped here and there, and nightbirds uttered lonesome cries, each calling to their own, even as he called to something greater than himself. "Mother," Cadian murmured, raising his hands in gentle supplication. "I need you." The wind soothed the leaves at the top of the pale tree, and Cadian felt her presence. Softly, the mother murmured, "Son of my bough, what do you seek?" Wisdom. Tears touched his eyes, and he rubbed them roughly with the back of his hand. "I see the evil in the world. I am told to fight it, but the lessons of the tablet shackle me. They prevent me from doing what is right. We put down our weapons when we should go to the slaughter. We turn away from vengeance when we are wronged, even though our spirits cry out for it. We do not take what we desire, or kill whatever we wish, or use our strength to force the world to hear us. These things are within us when we awaken. Why do we turn away from those impulses? Why do we not follow our instincts? Always we justify our actions with this tablet. Why do we not do whatever we want?" The pale tree rustled softly. "The most effective path is not always the best one, sapling. As the Firstborn have done, you must strive to be good." The words stung. "Who defines good? You? Ventari? Some dead human?" Cadian retorted. "The Firstborn are not perfect." The pale tree paused, and for a while, Cadian thought she might not reply. Mist had risen upon the nearby brook before she spoke again. "Would you do evil in my name?" the pale tree sighed. "Would you cause devastation as the Char do? Or justify wickedness in the name of knowledge as the Asura do? No, Cadian. We come into this world to destroy the dragons. We must not lose ourselves in that challenge." "Have we not already lost ourselves, Mother? We are not centaurs or humans. Let me destroy the tablet, and we will see what it truly means to be Sylvari." There was no answer. As dawn rose and bathed the clearing in gold, Cadian realized that the tree would say no more. "She will not hear you." The quiet voice was feminine, but it was not the tree who spoke. Spinning, Cadian readied himself for battle, but froze when he saw Kaith, cold and still, standing in the last shadows of night. "She will not hear you," Kaith repeated. "I am the first of my he began, raising his voice in argument. Kaith shrugged and interrupted. "Why should she care? She has thousands of children now, Cadian. You are either Firstborn, or you are simply Sylvari." A storm gathered upon his features. "I will never be one among many, Kaith, not even to the pale tree," he vowed, storming away. "I will make you hear me, Mother, like it or not. When I am finished and you are free at last, then I will be first in your heart." Kaith lingered in silence and watched him go.
I may have to search in the darkest corners of the world, but I'm prepared.
Why aren't you afraid? I sense no fear in you at all.
I'm afraid. I just bury it deep, beneath the call of my purpose.
This is the Sylvari that's looking for the Ventari tablet. All right, hello everybody. Welcome back. We're with Caraflower back home at the Grove. And we've returned for a very special reason. That's because we are now beginning Chapter 3, and Keith has sent us a mail. I did want to open, though, by talking to a couple of these guys who I find really quite interesting. One of these NPCs, I'm not going to say which, but one of them is extremely newly added to the game and was not here at release, but kind of is very important for things to come. So let's just go in this order. Corsair says, have you seen Traherne? I heard he was passing through. I've never met anyone as much destiny upon his shoulders as he has. Oh, that's actually true. Traherne is back in the grove right now, as we saw in Chapter 2 he returned. What do you mean, we ask? He says, I don't know. He's a firstborn and a wild hunt valiant. But it's much more than that. It's a feeling I have. He radiates importance, as if his quest will save the world itself, says Corsair. Well, that's very exciting. Iridia says, we've had so many more visitors from afar lately. I wonder if something exciting is afoot. And we say you might be right. And Warden Lade says, visitors to the Grove pass through this thoroughfare at all hours. It's easy to lose track of time observing so many interesting travelers. So as the story progresses, one of these NPCs, their dialogue will start to change and update, and I'll leave you guys to wonder exactly which one it might be. But yeah, we're going to go back down to our home and read this mail that we got here from Keith, called A Splinter in the Flesh. So, she says, Valiant, you are needed. The 3 orders of Tyria are locked in an argument, and the Pale Tree wishes you to settle their differences. She calls upon you to be her herald, her voice in this issue. And I think there is more here than meets the eye. Return to the Grove at your earliest chance, and I will explain. So hold on, wait, are we going to our home, or are we going to the Omphalos Chamber? It looks like probably the Omphalos Chamber, because the entrance to the instance is right here. Cool. Well, not even the Omphalos Chamber. We're actually just in sort of the heart of the Grove here with a ton of random NPCs around. So you can see a Norn, some Char. We see the Surrogate, of course, over there. I wonder what kind of dialogue triggers when you're in the story version of the Grove, whether a lot of it's there. This person's called Generic Guardian Trainer. Ha! That's kind of funny. Generic Thief Trainer. Wow, do you know what this is? Okay, many, many, many years ago, when the game first came out, this idea of training and the specializations and trait lines was very different, and you used to have to go to trainers to unlock new tiers of power and learn things through books that you'd purchase from them. And it seems that because this story instance is still, like, mimicking what the world was at release, we get to see these trainers. So check it out, the ranger trainers here, the warrior. These NPCs don't exist in the game anymore. The only way you can see them is by coming here. That's awesome, Generic Engineer. I wonder what other weird hints into the past you can find by looking like that. That's a nice reminder as well that now that we're level 30, we can do interesting things with our traits, which I can't wait to show you all. Here's Keith. How's it going?
Valiant, the Pale Tree summons you.
Is there a problem? It sounds like there's a commotion in the Omphalos Chamber.
Those are the emissaries of the 3 orders of Tyria. There is a situation.
The Orders of Tyria? Who are they, and what's going on?
The orders are organized groups that work against the Elder Dragons, the Vigil, the Derman Priory, and the Order of Whispers. Zaitan's might is growing. Its undead minions rise on the beaches of Kryta and the Tarnished Coast.
Why are the emissaries arguing? What am I walking into?
To the north, Overlake Haven is in danger of being overrun. The Lion Guard are outmatched by risen troops. We Sylvari realize that all life is intertwined. If Zaitan threatens one race, he threatens us all.
Then why are the Orders arguing? Why don't they just do something about it?
We think alike, you and I. Let us speak with the Mother Tree.
So, Keith is going to go up, and we have to actually go up the pod here. Oh, it does it automatically. That's a really interesting cutscene in that we don't know about the Order. You'd think that the tree would have instilled a bit of knowledge of that into us, but no. I mean, the Sylvari becomes such an important character.
Munition golems? You want to fight the Elder Dragons with toys and dollies?
Better than throwing away Sylvari lives on a direct assault.
No one's throwing away lives. Vigil soldiers are the best trained fighting force in Tyria.
Valiant, I'm glad you're here. They've been going on like this for an hour. Everyone, please be silent. We are all assembled, and the Mother Tree wishes to speak.
All right, I don't quite want to trigger the cutscene just yet. So to finish my thought, It's an interesting idea that this character, Caraflower, if we continue playing the story, she will become a major hard hitter in Tyria, a really important, powerful character. And the Dream didn't even tell her initially about the Orders. We hear there that the Orders don't really work together because they're arguing. The game doesn't dive into that anywhere near as much as it should, but it's true. The Vigil, the Demon Pride, the Order of Whispers, they've all got like beef with one another that the story never properly expresses, but explains why they're not working together at all, as you've noticed. And we have to pick one and, you know, not sort of all of them at once. But yeah, okay, so who have we got? Lots of people. It's good to see Traherne again.
Greetings, Valiant. Today you take the next steps on the journey of your wild hunt. Zaitan's forces are gathering at Overlake Haven. The Orders wish to defend the location, but their plans differ. Valiant, I name you to be my herald in this matter. The Grove can only back one of these plans. May your dream guide your decision.
I am honored, Mother Tree. I will do my best.
My name is Branthan. I represent the Vigil. We can have a platoon arrayed at Overlake Haven immediately. Our soldiers can handle this situation. In the Vigil, we prefer to fight our enemies head-on. The best way to protect the Haven is to provide military force.
You're asking to risk countless lives. Herald, the Dermot Priory proposes a far safer course of action. My name is Earworth. The Priory wants to utilize experimental munitions golems to destroy the undead. We'll have no soldiers on the field at all.
Completely untested munitions golems. You're the one risking lives. What if your golems fail?
And you, Emissary? You've been quiet through the whole argument.
I'm Kai, and I represent the Order of Whispers. I brought this situation to the Pale Tree's attention, but I'll leave the frontline fighting to the others.
Very well. Give me a moment to think this over, and then I'll decide.
Alright, so this is... We've seen this a few times. It's gonna retread in kind of the same format as before. Obviously, the developers had a situation where they had 5 separate stories, and they had to teach all of the players over and over and over again, depending on what race you picked, what the orders were, and do unique stories for each. And they do end up kind of similar, but the flavour of the Sylvari one's really, really, really cool. As you remember, the name of the chapter is Justice for Riannoc. So this will get very interesting very quickly. So the Order of Whispers, Kai... She says, trouble, trouble everywhere. You don't even know the half of it, Valiant. That's kind of amazing, because at this point in the timeline, we know that there's stuff to do with an amulet in Ascalon. There's stuff to do with children and missing people in the in Kryta. The Kryta, I was going to say. That was kind of weird. Over with the Asura, there are issues. The Whispers are sort of watching and looking at it all. So, what do you mean? Do you know something you're not telling? She says, nothing that will make a difference. You go look into this Haven matter. I'll be back here when you get back. Maybe we'll talk then. Can you tell me about your order? Well, the Order seeks to subtly influence the world's races and unify them against the dragons. Influence? You mean manipulate? Sounds like a lot of trouble. What does the tree say? By the way, you will notice, for the other races, it's like Logan would be here overlooking this, or Zorja would be over here looking this. For the Sylvari, yes, Kaith is here, but also, even more prominently in that cutscene, Traherne is here too. Like, that's how big of a character this guy is shaping up to be. So, yeah, the tree, what does she say? Act as my herald, and use the wisdom you have gained. The Orders shall trust your judgment, as do I. As I do. Can you tell me more about the Orders, then? These 3 powerful coteries of individuals, each dedicated to fighting the dragons. Their methods are distinct, but their hearts are all true. What are their methods? The Dermot Priory are scholars and explorers, the Vigil are soldiers and caretakers, and the Order of Whispers are spies and manipulators. Do you favour any of them in particular? Each order is unique, but their goal is the same: protect Tyria. I honour that with support for all 3. Okay, Traherne, what's your opinion on these people? As a scholar, I'd expect Dermot Priory, and in fact, we know from further on in the timeline that Traherne is very close to the Priory. He says there's a problem at Overlake. And we say, are you a part of an order? Well, he says no, but I have worked with each of them, and I respect them a great deal. I do think he's a bit more Priory-leaning than the others. Why haven't you joined one? Ore consumes all of my time, he says. I cannot remain here on the continent while the land out there cries for aid. So, I mean, he spent so long traveling and going backwards and forwards from Ore. It makes a lot of sense that he would find contacts in various places. So I understand. I wonder who some of his other contacts might be. And Kaith, she says, undead assaulting a fortified haven so openly? Something's driving them. Something dangerous. Kaith is the only one here that's actually thinking ahead and digging at a deeper story that will eventually come to pass. I'll watch for any sign of it. Okay, so, who do we like the sound of? Well, Branthin here, valiant Carriflower. I have heard impressive things about you. Like me, you never turn your back on a challenge, eh? Yeah, I mean, we fought Bersalak. We've done, like, a few nice challenges. Before I decide, can you tell me about your plan? Well, they just want a Vigil squad punches through the undead siege in the Haven. Once we've liberated the Haven, a combined assault will be plenty to mop up the enemy. Not bad. What do you think of the Priory's golems? This is war, not kiddie playground time. Experiments, bah, on the battlefield, you need trust, not dabbling. And I get it, what the Vigil is saying, tried and true, but I really like what Ira is saying. He says, I'm glad you're considering the more innovative approach. The Dermot Priory prizes sharp minds like yours, Valiant. Okay, it sounds like you don't like think much of the Vigil's plan. He says, do you really call it hit them until they're dead a plan? Why risk so many soldiers when we have golems? Well, they're already dead, whee! So I say, what do your golems do? He says, I'd hate to spoil the surprise, but they're exceptional. Mine-laying, explosive repercussion. I just need a field test or 3. I like this, because I really like that kind of sci-fi, futuristic idea that wars eventually are waged between, you know, they're just basically money sinks and thrown into technology rather than people. And yeah, if this works, we don't risk any lives at all. Let's use the golems.
Excellent choice, Herald. Trust me. You'll be very impressed with the Priory's plan. Scholar Kecht and the munitions golems will meet you at the Overlake Haven.
Enjoy playing with your little toys, Earworth. If it goes badly, the Vigil will be here.
Onward.
And, oh, yeah, there's another reason I mentioned when we met him in Lion's Arch that Kecht potentially can be met in an earlier point in the timeline. Well, here he is. So this is what Kecht was doing before he came to Lion's Arch and ended up meeting Casey. So that's great. Excellent. I'll meet you near Overlake Haven. Our golems will put those soldiers to shame. So let's see what Kecht was doing way back here. A shame. I would have liked to see you on the battlefield maybe some other time. And Kai says, I'll be watching how things go. When you get back, we'll talk. And I think we already saw that. These guys haven't changed. Okay, cool. So, let's head on out. Now, if you remember, Bract had a hell of a journey at this point in the timeline. He had to go way from the Asuran areas, which are very remote, off towards Crater. Well, Carriflower's kind of got a similar job to do here as well, but she's not quite so far away. And in fact, if we come to Cratebane Haven, at Anwin, where we met Karis and Tegwin and the beach stuff, well, that's actually very close to Kessex Hills, which is where we need to go. So it's really not such a big deal for Carriflower. Moving away from the Grove again immediately. And yeah, we can travel along the roads. Here, I'll show you where our objective actually is. It's just over here. It's actually a haven we have glimpsed before. And I like this as well, the idea that we are now having stories to do with the havens, because it's kind of like there are 3 orders working against the dragons, but I would offer a 4th ceremonial order as well. I really would. And I'd say that's the Lion Guard and the efforts of the Captain's Council in Lion's Arch to unify the races by providing infrastructure like these roads and havens, which ultimately do defend people and facilitate communication and collaboration, which is what will be, hopefully, the downfall of the Elder Dragons. So I really do respect that about the Lion Guard, and it's a good way for the story to now start looking at Lion's Arch by the end of this chapter, as we all know. So yeah, right at the north of Caledon Forest, an absolutely huge map for what it's worth, that you've still only seen the thinnest slivers of. We can now travel on through. Oh man, it feels like every time I sit down to play with you guys, I get interrupted with the door just went, so I had a quick delivery I had to go grab. I'm kind of excited to see if they release another trailer for the upcoming new 2018 content just at the end of when I'm recording here with you guys today as well, because it should be trailer day and it's coming up to about 5 o'clock, which is when they usually do it. But yeah, so as you can see, we are now in Kessex at the southern border of embattled Crater. The Kessex Hills are overrun with marauding centaurs. Wrecked human towns dot the countryside, and a heavily patrolled road from Lion's Arch connects with lands to the south. And while I'm here, hold on, did we already get... We already unlocked... This is kind of a weird situation. it's very rare for this to happen, but we've unlocked the waypoint because we went through the portal, but we haven't unfogged the area. That is the waypoint, the trading post with the Tengu that Casey, I believe it was Casey, was hanging out over there for a while, and that'll actually become a little bit relevant too for Caraflower, probably by the end of this video. So just knowing a little bit about the story coming up, I'll make sure I've got that waypoint, which the game's already automatically unlocked for me. So yeah, we got a bit of a walk. While we're on it, I do want to talk about some stuff. First of all, yeah, check it out. We are obviously in a new set of armor. I mentioned before that we were in Sylvari Cultural T1 armor. I was wrong. I'd messed up. The previous Chapter 2 stuff we were playing, we were in T3 armor. This is now the T1. Sorry, the previous chapter we were in T2 armor, and now we're in T1 armor. Okay, so this is the original Sylvari stuff, which is quite pretty, and you can dye it in a lot of really nice ways. I've slightly given it a bit of a blue subtle hint because we have some new weapons as well. And this is Cultural Weapon Tier 3. This is the Warden set. So I actually really think that the Warden set is very, very pretty. I'll show you guys here with the preview. So we can choose to have the weapon wielded, or we can show weapon only. So yeah, this is the Warden stuff. This is actually quite end game like Sylvari stuff. It's the final set of cultural weapons for them. And I've got a couple here. So we're already wielding the Focus. This is what we've got in our hand, and you guys have seen those abilities. We've been using them lots. But I've got two totally new weapons as well. First being the Dagger, which you just saw me previewing. So we get 3 new skills on Dagger, and I got a Warhorn. So what we can do is we can run Dagger in our main hand, and then Warhorn offhand, and then in the other weapon set, we can have Focus offhand. So if you look at my skills now, we have the 3 on the left stay the same because we're always Dagger, but the 2 on the right change from Focus to Warhorn. So we can show off what these look like at some point. Now, this next instance, the idea is actually to use golems to do combat for us, so I don't know how much chance we'll really get to use our cool necromancer abilities. The idea is to keep ourselves safe, obviously, right? So yeah, we'll see. Oh, there's a deceased trader down there. I feel kind of bad about that, actually. That's the haven in question. There is a scout. Did we ever speak to this scout? Actually, this scout here is quite interesting in that she alludes to story that happens after the original release stuff, so we won't speak to her just yet, but in a while we will speak to her once the original game is complete, because then we'll see some new dialogue and stuff. Yeah, cool. So we come to the Giant's Passage, and we have this haven just up here with the events nearby, with this Tengu. We must have listened to his scout, right? Let's go again.
A massive volcanic fissure has erupted by Mafic core, and destroyers have begun to burrow out of it. Sangdo Swiftwing is desperate for help containing them. If left uncontested, they will threaten this land as well as the wall itself. Travel east from here to assist him. May your ancestors guide your path.
Oh, his bird clacking sound is really prominent there. That's awesome. Yeah, because of course we are still on the borders of the Dominion, and that's the fissure that we saw again as Bract was coming through. But let's grab the waypoint in the haven. You'll notice everybody seems generally okay. And this is kind of one of those weird things that happens with Guild Wars sometimes. The story right now is that this haven is in jeopardy, and everyone should be panicked and worried, and they're being sieged by undead, and we're coming to save them. But to see that, we come here in the open world where they're clearly fine. So I wonder exactly what the devs are going for there, whether they're trying to suggest that maybe the open world stuff happens at a different point in time to the actual story stuff, or whether we're not meant to think about it at all. I don't know. I guess you guys can ruminate on that for yourselves. So yeah, coming up onto this cliff, Bramble Walls. Let's do it. Okay, so you'll notice we entered the instance up on this hill, but then the game started us all the way down here. If we entered the instance from here, we wouldn't have that weird unimmersive thing where we see it when it's not under attack. But hey, whatever. So, there's the haven.
I finished calibrating the powder to payload ratio. Ula's schematics were vague, so I improvised.
Ah, splendid. Here's the Herald now. Are we ready to proceed?
Be sure to observe all safety protocols as soon as I make them up.
Oh, see, so there. Here we have Keck. This is great. And he references Ula, whose lab, you may remember, a certain someone broke into in a certain early personal story stuff. How cool is this? So, hey, Keck, you've built something based on her. Oh, dear. How good is this actually going to be?
Glad to see you, Herald. Here we stand, safe and sound above Overlake Haven, while the undead march on the field. We're outnumbered 20 to 1.
You sound cheerful despite the hopeless odds. Are the golems ready?
I'd say the odds are in our favor, actually. It doesn't take 1,000 soldiers to win a battle. It just takes one very smart researcher.
Priory explorers do a great deal of research into abandoned laboratories, ancient ruins, tomb crawling, dungeon running. Ah, that's the good life.
Yes, Keck, that would be quite enough. You see, Keck found the original schema for these munitions golems. He's very excited to see them in action.
As am I. Is everything ready to go? Those undead are getting a little too close for comfort.
Ah, yes, sorry. Allow me to explain. These golems were originally created for subterranean expansion. They enter a tiny tunnel and then explode, creating a widened area. Keck and I fitted these models with deployable landmines. We piloted them remotely, right into the massed undead below.
Sounds brilliant. Let's see how they work.
Don't worry. We're quite safe up here, I assure you.
Oh, I hope you're right, dudes. Jesus. So there we go. This is the jeopardy that was supposedly happening. And you'll notice that it's not just some undead, it's a lot of undead, and many abominations too. Kind of terrifying, really. The only time we've seen more abominations than this is, well, the tragedy of Claw Island. Okay, so we're going to deal with this purely through technology. Interesting to give for the Sylvari as a story step. Weirdly, we have the cutscene icon above our head there. That was kind of strange. That icon is for when you're in multiplayer circumstances, and so that other players can recognize that you're watching a cutscene or not. Usually you never see it above your own head, because by the time the cutscene ends, well, you know, you can see yourself as normal. So Kekt, he says, these mini golems were my design. I'd be glad to answer questions or bask in your compliments. Were they? I just heard that they were from Ula. So tell me about their... I like the idea that they were originally about expanding for subterranean stuff, because Ula was an Asura alive around the time that the Asura came to the surface. So she would have been familiar with that kind of stuff. So tell me about their mine-laying capabilities, please. You can toss out several small mines at once, or drop a single large one. The mega mine is too large to throw. The undead are sieging the haven. How do I get them to attack me instead? Well, wobble around and look helpless. You'll get their attention swiftly, to be sure. Okay. What does the etheric cloak button do? It's a last-minute feature. Takes a bit of time to activate, but if it does, you'll be temporarily undetectable. Very nice, right? Okay, wait. That button says self-destruct. Calm down, Valiant. These golems were made for deep mine excavation. What's deep mine excavation? The Asura send these into small crevices to go deep into the ground, then bam, a clear passage. That makes me think of friggin' Worms. Any Worms fans out there? Makes me think of, like, tunneling down with a pneumatic drill and then dropping, like, a banana bomb or something in the bottom. Okay, so, you're amazing. Thanks, Scholar, Kekt. Great. Eowth, what have you got us into? I would kind of just like to be standing alongside a bunch of badass transforming Norn and vicious Char attacking these undead right now. Hop 2, Herald. Interact with the console near Kekt and you'll deploy a mine golem onto the battlefield. Speak with Kekt if you have any questions. Can you tell me more about the Lion Guard? He says they all hail from Lion's Arch, hence the name. Their havens keep travelers safe across Tyria. Well, they sound like a very good folk.
Remember, lay down the landmines before you're mobbed. Durability, not one of the golem's strong points.
We actually have a very cool moment where we transform into... Well, we don't transform. The idea, I think, is that we're still up on the hill. Obviously, we see that we're not still up on the hill. We can remote control turn into the golem, and we can bomb people. So, these skills are what Kekt was just talking about. We can self-destruct, which does obscene damage. Look at that tooltip, guys. 32,110 damage. At level 30, that's a lot. That's probably the one skill in the game with the most base damage on it in the entirety of Guild Wars 2. Because everything. It's crazy. We have the Etheric Cloak, which makes us invisible by bending light. We can taunt people by waving our arms about, kind of opposite to the stealth thing. We can have the Mega Mine. So here, I'll just use the Mega Mine so we can see. So that's a Mega Mine. We've got the triple mine, so we can throw out lots of them all at once. And then we have just the regular mine, which we can throw out. Now, we can throw these quite fast. All of these are blast finisher combos. All of them. So, if we can somehow get a field down, and we can't really because we're a golem, but if we can somehow get a field down, these will all nuke and just explode healing or weakness or all kinds of things in the air. So that's great. We can just spam tons of mines. And this is awesome. This is the kind of thing that engineers get sort of an element of as a part of that profession, but we get it to a crazy extent here because hey, it's the core story, and we can just have fun with it, right? So we can create a minefield now, run over and taunt and wiggle our arms around.
Come here.
And now they're all mad. They get these cool icons over their heads. That's the taunt icon. You don't really see that much in Guild Wars 2. They run into the mines. And voila, they get blown up. So unfortunately, they all detonated a bit quickly there. So that's a bit sad. Now, the other thing with the mines is we can't throw them like right at our feet. So we have to like, there's like a minimum range on them. Maybe not the Mega Mine. The Mega Mine doesn't have a minimum range, so we can be careful with that. Let's taunt some more. Okay, they're just coming anyway. Let's put them into the Mega Mine. All right, so we have to find a good way of doing this. I've got an idea, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to stealth with the etheric cloak. Takes a while to cast, as you can see. Bing, 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 bing. Oh, he hit us. Okay, so if a Risen hits you...
Blew up, did it? Don't worry. We have plenty of these things.
Yeah, there you go. If a Risen does manage to hit you, you're extremely vulnerable. I know it says we got a lot of health. Look at it launching out there. That's so cool. It says we got a lot of health, but it's instant failure if they hit you. Now, the Risen we killed before are still dead, so it's not like total failure. This is really refreshing for Guild Wars, though, because so often they don't give you like a failure moment like this. So here, let's throw these out, and hopefully we can catch it. Oh, what a clever Risen! Did you guys see that? Okay, there you go. Right, let's cast the cloak. We're gonna run through all of them. I'm gonna do something really mental here. We're gonna run right through. We're gonna start dropping our triple mines and things. We've got 30 seconds to do this. We're gonna drop some regular mines. We're gonna drop a big mine. We're just gonna minefield the hell out of the place, right in the middle of a billion undead. Okay, what's the range on the self-destruct as well? 500. Okay, and now we're gonna taunt them. Okay, you guys ready? The stealth's about to run out. So taunt. Stealth should run out while we're here. Yes! Oh! Self-destruct! Okay, I self-destruct. It kind of worked. Maybe I freaked out a bit too early. Maybe I could have waited a little bit longer and had more of them run in there. That was pretty good, though. That's not too bad. We almost killed an A-bomb with that. I mean, he's going to break combat and regenerate. Oh, God, they're still on me. All right, that's scary as all hell. Mega Mine, Mega Mine, Mega Mine. Yeah, we got him. Good. So what's the taunt range? What do you think? If I taunt from back here, can we get like this guy? Oh, we can get them. That's kind of huge. Okay, he runs through. Good, we got him as well. I mean, abominations are very predictable. They're charging, scary, horrible, mental guys. So we can... Oh, what? How did he hit us? That's so annoying. Oh, we can just try again. So these don't actually count as character deaths, by the way, because that's the whole point of this, that we're in a golem, so we're fine. Right, well, there's the gate. We've broken a lot of the siege here. 3 more. I think if I just do this, we can probably take him out quite efficiently, right? If I just stand like so. Oh, especially if he moves like that. All right, if I taunt from here, they should all come. It's like we're playing snooker. Ready? Yeah. Oh, what? It didn't do enough damage, though. No! What? Oh, come on. Okay, they died anyway. I guess the self-destruct is automatic, so we still bombed them all. Okay, good. Moving back up. We do have stealth available again, but I think the only dude left is this. Oh, he came at us from behind, guys. I didn't even notice. So let's chase him to the...
See if you can get the gate open, and we'll check on the interior of the Haven.
Listen up, Lion Guard. These folk are from the Dermot Priory. With their help, we're gonna take back the Haven.
All right, Deputy
Peace
Jenks.
is worth fighting for.
He just spoke to our golem. So we need to defeat the Risen in the courtyard, it says. Oh my god, there's a lot of Risen in the courtyard. I forgot that it was actually a fight was raging away in here. So let's deal with this. Now, you guys might think, oh, the golem isn't your speed and you'd rather just fight normally. Well, that is possible as well. It's not really Guild Wars 2 style to completely eliminate all that kind of freedom. So, if you don't like the idea of taunting billions of undead into your face and then blowing them up with mines, I mean, I would question your priorities in life, but you can definitely just go back to your regular stuff. And honestly, on some classes, and if you've been really careful with the gear you get and stuff, you can probably beat this instance much faster by using your regular skills. This abomination started to build up a lot of frenzy, and he's attacking really quickly now, so I'm very scared of him. As you can blatantly see. In fact, let's just try it. Let's try and use our regular skills, and I'll show you how our dagger works. So let's get our minions up. Let's run on in, because it does just say at this point just to defeat the Risen in the courtyard. And let's see what we've got. So dagger! The auto attack is necrotic slash, necrotic stab, and necrotic bite.
Get up on those ramparts and finish them off.
We've got the upper hand. These golems are amazing.
Vacate these premises.
Thank you. I think the columns are very good as well. All right, let's move up. So, yeah, the idea of this is you actually life steal. The dagger does a lot of damage because it's melee, more than the axe, really, for the auto. But it gives you life force and healing, just straight up. You vampirically siphon health immediately off of people. Not life force, but, well, both. Life force and health back in. If you watch my health here, it's pulsing up every now and then. So that's cool. The skill 2 is a very recognizable necro skill from Guild Wars 1. Life Siphon. Siphon health from a foe. Healing effectiveness increases if you are bleeding, and damage increases if they are bleeding. So we can inflict bleeding on ourselves in some ways in the game. So that's a really cool synergy there. And yeah, it's actually ranged as well. So even though we used a dagger, we can just channel magic through it. And you see all these bloody orbs coming out of him? Well, that's healing us up. So that's nice. Let's stay on focus before I randomly start using all of my Warhorn abilities. And then finally, the third skill for the dagger is called Dark Pact. You just immobilize your foe and you bleed yourself at the same time. So we immob, we bleed ourselves, and then we life siphon. He can't get out of the life siphon, and we get extra healing from it. So how good is that? The only thing that dagger's really missing is a way to bleed them to increase the damage. But we can combo that with an offhand, right? So, I mean, focus doesn't do that, nor does Warhorn, but you get what I mean. Even our utilities might be able to inflict a bit of bleed. So the skill 3 is a little bit like what our Bone Fiend does, if you remember. The Bone Fiend will immobilize someone with Rigor Mortis. Well, Dark Pact is a bit like Rigor Mortis. Let's take some more out. And I like using dagger because it makes you go into melee, dagger focus, and then the Reaper's touch is guaranteed to bounce onto that same target lots because it will go to you, to them, to you, to them, to you, to them, to you, to them, while you continue ripping into them with your, you know, regular attacks. That's really cool. Take these guys out, and then I guess there's the Warhorn to show off. I don't actually know how dangerous. Here I'm going to make my Shade Haunt to blind them while I'm knocked down because I'm a bit scared of the undead. I'm not sure whether we can do this next section without the golem. It would be kind of scary because they are freaking abominations there. We'll try. But yeah, so Warhorn. I'll first do the 4, which is called Wail of Doom. This was an elite in the first game, an elite necro skill that eliminated your enemy's attributes for a very, very, very small window. But it's kind of similar in Guild Wars 2. It's an unblockable massive daze. So they can't do anything after I do that. They're just stuck there for 2 seconds because they're dazed, unless they like stun break or something. So you screech a Wail of Doom in a cone in front of you, dazing them. And it's unblockable. So if someone's in a shield stance, you can break through that and then daze them and make them vulnerable. And then lastly, the skill 5 is called Locust Swarm. So this speeds us up, gives us swiftness, which is brilliant. And summon a swarm of locusts that while we're standing next to a target, the locusts eat our target and put cripple on them. So that's really fun as well. You get lots of little packets of damage here, you can see. And you'll see how amazing that is with traits later on in the game. There you go. That's Dagger and that's Warhorn for the Necro. Is this our first Warhorn character? No, I guess Tyrix was using Warhorn, correct? And we didn't need golems here. We can just take these guys out like so. So here, I'll cast the Warhorn 5 to create Locust, then go to the Focus, and I get all the Focus scythe stuff while the Locust is still going. You know, you don't need the Warhorn out for the Warhorn buff to stay on you, just to initially cast it. Cool, there you go, guys.
This is worth fighting for.
This is clear the Risen from the Ramparts. I think they're all dead now, aren't they? Or is there like one more? Oh, there's a couple more here. Sneaky, sneaky Risen right around the back of the Haven here. And we'll take these guys out ASAP. Wow. They are scary when they do that. They really are. Those knockdowns are really long. I mean, we can hide in Death Shroud as a Necro as well when we get knocked down, which just makes things even more comfortable for us. Fear them away, make them attack a minion or something instead. And voila, that seems pretty good. Speak to Ioearth, it says, and we should be clear. I'm sure that there's some Lion Guard that would want to talk to us as well. There's a guy called Brandon here. A lot of these are just NPCs that you see out. In fact, these three NPCs, Brandon, Caitlin, and Amanda, they only come into the Haven once the whole instance is done. They weren't here before, but these are basically NPCs that you can find out in the open world version that like will repair your armor and sell you stuff or whatnot. There you go. Everybody happy? I heard one of the Char scream coward, but still there is a bit of a mystery here. Why the hell was a random haven like this being attacked by such a ridiculous horde of undead that we needed nuke-style golems to deal with?
Well done, well done. The munitions golems performed splendidly. Herald, wait. Look over there. Do you see that?
Most intriguing.
Ooh, what was that? Interesting. Keck, did you see that? He says, amazing, the golems worked, and Gix said it couldn't be done without losing fingers and toes. Who's this Gix? Our illustrious leader, steward of the Priory. If you join us, you'll meet him. You are joining the Priory, right? Oh, I really hadn't thought about it. Guys, who should Caraflower join? Well, you should, by all means, you must. I'll remember that, thank you.
Seize the moment. Utterly explosive! That should be all of them. Overlake Haven will be safe, with no loss of life. Magnificent work, Kekt. The munitions golems serve their purpose admirably.
I'm extremely impressed, Earworth. The Dermot Priory is clearly an organization that values cleverness.
You're quite correct. And this is only a taste of what the Priory offers. Think of it. Shelves as high as an oak tree, filled with lore and wisdom.
Adventure, experimentation, ancient tombs rich with, exploration.
I see. Tell me, with your vast knowledge, could you identify that strange-looking creature on the road? I've never seen anything like it before.
Sadly, no. I was wondering the same thing. If Zaitan has spawned some new horror, we must discover its nature.
Agreed. Let's return to the grove. The pale tree is waiting for our report.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very good. Could that be the answer we're looking for?
Expand your knowledge while here.
Well, well done, Caraflower. You have a knack for cutting-edge technology. You're a natural. Can you tell me more about the Lion Guards? We already heard that. Did you see the unusual creature? I did, but I'm not aware of its specific classification. A wight? A lich? Otherwise? Well, we need to ask the Pale Tree. We're still not too familiar on the varieties of undead that there are and how they're distinguished, but certainly people like Charhan should be able to help us with that. Why did you join the Priory? I joined the Priory after my wild hunt was over. I found myself deep in Char lands, fighting the branded and... well, it's best not to think on it. Really? Are branded creatures like the Risen? Oh, yes, and they're quite awful. I realized then that all of Tyria needed our help, not only the Grove. But shouldn't we help the Grove first and clear the Caledon? Helping Tyria does help the Grove. The dragons won't be defeated one minion at a time. We have to think bigger, Valiant. That's one way to look at it. Thanks for explaining. Right, so what we basically just advocate for there is standing around cleaving undead away constantly at the beaches. But really, we've got to go to where the beach, where they're coming from before they get to the beach, right? That's the idea. You don't kill the minions, you kill the minion factory. It's just the minion factory seems to be something of an elder dragon. Great. So yeah, a little hint as to Earworth as well and what his wild hunt was there. And kind of scary what this strange creature was. He also mentions in that cutscene the idea of like stacks and stacks of books on shelves and shelves and shelves. And you guys might be thinking, well, hold on, I've seen a bit of the Priory. I didn't see too much of that. You have not seen the half of the Priory. There is so much more to the Priory that we are yet to visit. Believe me, he is not exaggerating. One of my favorite places in the game is at the Priory, and we won't be visiting there for a long while.
Whisper agents report a strange creature leading the attack on Overlake. Know anything about that, Ioearth?
Our scholars are looking into... Hey, you said your people weren't going to be there.
I said we wouldn't be involved. Not that we wouldn't watch. Do you have a problem with that?
Your order's the most untrustworthy, cowardly lot of reprobates in Tyria.
Oh my god. So the Whispers were watching. Creepy, but understandable.
I have good news, Mother Tree. Overlake Haven is safe, and the undead have been driven away.
Valiant, I was told about the strange undead you saw on the battlefield. I think I can help you. The creature sounds like a lich. From the description I was given, I think I can identify it as Mazdak the Accursed.
Mazdak the Accursed? I know that name. One of my firstborn, Riannoc, went to destroy Mazdak many years ago. I armed him with a thorn from my own bow, a mighty sword named Caladbolg. Both were lost, never to return to the grove. Herald, it seems you have a chance to discover the fate of my lost son, and perhaps even avenge Riannoc's death.
Legend says that Riannoc chose a human to be his squire. If that squire survived, the Order of Whispers could find him. The Order's very good at tracking people down, even when they don't want to be found.
Untrustworthy as always. I have an alternate suggestion. As you may know, the Dermond Priory specializes in researching and recovering lost knowledge. This sounds like an exciting opportunity to experiment with a ritual we've uncovered. If cast, it lets you witness the last moments of a person's life.
The mystery of Riannoc's death has pained the Sylvari since the days of the Firstborn. Knowing his fate would help to heal that wound.
Branthan, does the Vigil have any suggestions?
Gathering information isn't our strong suit. Instead, I'll go ask my superiors how to kill a lich. I'll meet you back here when you're done.
Very well. Herald, the choice is yours.
Alright, so, I mean, this is really quite meaty, guys. Riannoc, the first Sylvari to die. And listen and remember very carefully what the Pale Tree said there. Well, in fact, she might elaborate. Let's speak. She says, choose carefully. Will you tell me about Caladbolg? What is this thing, Caladbolg? Both orders have potential to discover the truth. It was the only weapon I've ever made, and in doing so took a great deal of spirit. It was meant to be the blade of heroes. What happened to the sword? I created it for Riannoc, one of the firstborn. When he died, the blade was in his possession, and it has not been since. So, what you have to understand is the Pale Tree cares a lot about fighting the dragons. She built this incredible weapon. The Sylvari obviously manufacture weapons, like the Warden stuff we've got. But this weapon, a thorn from her bow, she described it. It is of her. It took a great deal of magic. It's a really potent, powerful artifact. And its job was, it was given to Riannoc, who she chose as the firstborn to take the fight to the dragons. So Riannoc was armed with this incredible thing in the early days. And none of the Sylvari, none of the Firstborn really knew the concept of death. And he died. And they've never quite known exactly what happened. That is a tragedy. Will you tell me about Riannoc? My initial 12 children are called the Firstborn. Riannoc was brother to Kaith, Traherne, and the rest. He was a valiant, as shining as the sun. I think I read that slightly wrong, but you guys get it. He travelled far to the north to face an evil. When he died, the sun dimmed, and the dream wept. I'm so sorry, Mother. What should I do to help you? Discover the truth, my herald. Return the sword. That will bring me peace. So, this name, Mazdak the Accursed, was somehow associated with this. Traherne, you're sure it's Mazdak? Ah, Riannoc, I warned you. I told you not to go alone, but you did not listen. We were all so confident, so unafraid of death. You told him not to go? I did, but he would not listen. He said that Mazdak was too great an evil to leave unchallenged. So Riannoc was fighting Mazdak at this point. And he was so overconfident, he had so much ego, he didn't really recognize the threat. Traherne did, it seemed. In that, I suppose he was right. How sad they ended up this way. And remember, from the short stories, if you guys have been remembering, yesterday's short story segment, we heard about when Malamedes was attacked by the Asura. And they were wondering if something terrible was going to happen to Malamedes. And they said, is this going to be just like when Riannoc died? Yeah? So this, you now realize how sort of early this is. This was before the Sylvari even met the Asura. Wow. Branthan of the Vigil, you're not going to help with this juicy stuff? Good luck, Valiant. I'm sure the Vigil can't lend assistance on this one. Why not? What's going on with the Vigil? Some of the undead rousted from the Haven, are causing trouble on the coast. The settlements have requested Vigil reinforcement. Interesting. And of course, we know that the coastlines near there is a certain lake that was also under, about this time, attack by the undead, related to a missing seraph. Perhaps those are somehow intertwined. Keith, these are dark tidings, Cariflower. Riannoc was the first Sylvari to meet death. We never knew what happened. How well did you know him? He was one of the firstborn, alive when there were only 12 Sylvari in the world. I knew him well. We all did. What happened to him? The pale tree says he vanished? Precisely. We all felt it when he died. It was like a part of the dream was torn away, but we never knew why or how. Think about this, guys. Especially for the secondborn. Everything that the secondborn got from the dream was, like, fed into it from the 12 firstborn. So to have, like, a 12th of all of that just eliminated, well, what he would have known before he died probably wasn't eliminated from the dream, but the potential that he could have brought to it is kind of incredible to think about. How tragic. Who is this? Mazdak? What does he want? Mazdak the Accursed is a lich. Alright, so there we go. We get the designation. A powerful one in the service of Or. I do not know his true history. So, liches we are vaguely familiar with. There was a very powerful lich in the original game to have come from Or, a lich known as Vizier Kilbron. Which order's plan should I choose, Keith? Strength lies not in the plan, but within you. Choose whichever you feel called to enact. Okay, wise words. Thanks very much. I think that's all of the dialogue, right? So, what do we think, guys? Well, let's check the Order of Whispers first. She says, this sounds like it could bear investigation. Herald? Right, so what do you think of the Priory's idea? EOS Order has a lot of toys, but they're useless if you can't rely on them. His ritual is a dice toss. We need information, not hypotheses. This is scary to click to me, because usually when that icon is there, it means that it's going to progress the story. So instead, I'm just going to say, let me think about this a bit longer, and then ask her, tell me more about your plan. She says, the Order of Whispers is the oldest order in Tyria. That's true. We know about the dragons long before anyone else. So, what have you done to fight them, we ask? She says, you got the wrong idea. The dragons can't be destroyed. We must do what heroes of old did. We must put them back to sleep. So this is fascinating too. Some of the earliest press material we ever heard for Guild Wars 2 was that each order had a very different idea on how to tackle the dragons. And the Order of Whispers one was to put them to sleep. But when the game eventually released, almost none of that has meant anything ever. I mean, you can draw ties in some of the later stories, but certainly at this point, like none of it was there except this one line. So this idea of the Whispers trying to put the dragons back to sleep, you're not ever going to really hear them talk about that. It seems like something the devs were thinking about, but then got messily lost along the way. Very interesting. How do you plan to put them to sleep? We have plans within plans, my friends. Just wait and see. Interesting. So I remember you said that. And it's weird that she's given us their plan to take out the dragons there, when what we'd actually asked was that her plan about Mazdak, but fine. Because we don't know at all what the scripting here is like. We should know what her plan is to find out about Mazdak and Riannoc and stuff, but we don't. I'm glad to see you examining the more inventive route. I assure you won't regret it. Well, the golems did work very well. What do you think of the Whispers plan? Asking a bunch of miscreants and bandits? Fair. You'll find yourself shivved, mark my words. So, yeah, this ritual. You think we'll learn more about Riannoc with this? Not death, Herald. We can see the last minutes of life. Be witness to the events immediately before Riannoc's death. Think of it. I'm thinking, how easy is it to do? Well, it's a bit dangerous. A lot dangerous, actually. But you can experience the events as they unfold. Isn't that exciting? Listen, guys, I'm all for information gathering and stuff, but if we actually get to see the last moments of this guy's life, that's going to answer a lot of questions. Let's do the ritual. Hell yeah. So we get a choice of weapons here. Scepter I'll pick up, because Scepter is a necromancer weapon we haven't seen yet. I might take a second to teach you about that. Fabulous. I've been eager to try this ritual for 2 whole years, but no one was brave and... I mean, I'll meet you in Nitchcroft Mare. Okay, I appreciate the enthusiasm. Are you mad at me now because I didn't pick your thing? Rituals and magical hooey? Well, I can't fault your sense of adventure. Good luck. Hell yeah. What's going on with the vigil? She already said that, right? Yes, she did. Okay, so that's it. I don't think anyone else will have updated. And we get to go to Lichcroft Mare. And you might be thinking, hold on, Lichcroft Mare, why do I recognize that? Is that just because I'm a Guild Wars player and I've vaguely picked that up on the years? Well, you recognize it because Cariflower is not the only of our heroes to have been to Lichcroft Mare around this point in the timeline. Lichcroft Mare is the very swamp that we found the children being threatened on Casey not so long ago. And timeline-wise, it's about exactly now, which is kind of fascinating. So, we are going to go to that risen swamp full of undead once again and discover the truth behind what happened with Riannoc and a little bit more about this crazy sword known as Caladbolg. That will be next time. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you shortly.
If the dream knows everything, and we know the dream, why do we have to study?
Life is learning. The dream gives us the what, and sometimes the how, but it rarely gives us the why. Though your connection to the dream is a great gift, do not rely on it entirely. The wise Silvari always questions.
The stars, moon, and sun move across the sky. They mark the changing cycles.
And we follow their signs?
We have no other choice. We are as much part of them as they are of us.
Our challenge is to find the meaning behind both their movements and our